They laugh at your silence, thinking they've defeated you. They smirk, they whisper, and in their minds, they've won. But let me ask you something. Does a mountain tremble because the wind howls? Does the ocean stir because someone shouts at it? No. The truly powerful don't respond to noise. They rise above it. Your silence isn't weakness. It isn't surrender. It's a message so profound that they don't have the depth to understand it. Because silence, true silence, isn't empty. It's full of strength, of focus, of control. They don't see it now, but your silence is the calm before a storm they can't weather. And think about this. Why do they mock your silence? Why do they laugh? Is it because they're truly victorious, or is it because your restraint unnerves them? Their laughter isn't a celebration of strength. It's a defense against their own insecurity. They fear what they can't provoke, what they can't shake. Your silence shines a light on their chaos, and they don't know what to do with it. Look at the world we live in. Everyone is shouting, competing for attention, desperately trying to make their voice the loudest. But what if I told you that the loudest voice is rarely the strongest? Real strength doesn't need to prove itself. Real strength doesn't need to explain itself. And when you stay silent, when you hold your ground without a word, you are showing a power that can't be measured by their noise. This is where the teachings of Stoicism come alive. The Stoics believed that the ultimate power wasn't in controlling others, but in mastering yourself. It's about standing firm, unshaken, no matter what storms rage around you. When you remain silent in the face of mockery, you're practicing a strength that most people will never even understand. Let's be honest, silence makes people uncomfortable. Why? Because it forces them to sit with their own thoughts, their own insecurities. When you respond to their taunts with calm, with silence, you're holding up a mirror to their weaknesses. They expect a reaction. They crave it. They need you to validate their actions with anger, with fear, with words. But when you don't give them that satisfaction, they're left with nothing but their own reflection. And here's the irony. They think they've won because you're quiet, but the truth is you've already won by refusing to engage. While they waste their energy laughing and mocking, you're building something unshakable. Your silence isn't just a shield, it's a weapon they don't know how to fight. Now, I want to ask you something. Have you ever been in that moment where your silence was met with mockery? How did it feel? Did you question yourself? Or did you realize deep down that you were holding a power they couldn't understand? If you've ever experienced this, let me know in the comments right now. Write this: silence is my strength. Let's remind ourselves and everyone else that true power doesn't shout, it endures. They think they've won, but they have no idea what real strength looks like. Your silence speaks volumes, and soon they'll hear it louder than any words you could ever say. Are you ready to see what happens when silence becomes your greatest strength? Let's go deeper. Silence. It's one of the most underestimated forces in the world. When you choose silence, you're not giving in. You're stepping into something much larger than the moment, a realm where control is absolute and strength is immeasurable. But let me ask you, why is silence so powerful? Think about it. When you remain silent, you're doing something most people can't. You're resisting the urge to react, to lash out, to prove something. That resistance, that strength, real strength. Anyone can shout back when provoked. Anyone can lose their temper. But to hold your tongue, to stay still in the face of chaos, that requires mastery. Here's the thing. Silence isn't just the absence of words. It's the presence of something deeper. It's the presence of control. When you choose not to respond, you're showing that you're not ruled by their actions or their opinions. You're ruled by something far more powerful, your own principles. The Stoics taught us that we don't control what happens to us. We don't control what people say or do. What we control is how we respond. And sometimes the best response is none at all. Because silence isn't about surrender. It's about standing tall. It's about refusing to let others dictate your emotions, your actions, or your worth. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Silence has a way of exposing people. When you don't react, they're forced to fill the space themselves. They keep talking, keep laughing, keep trying to provoke you. But the harder they try, the more obvious their desperation becomes. Your silence is like a spotlight, illuminating their weaknesses while you remain untouchable. Have you ever noticed how the strongest leaders in history often say the least? They don't need to shout to be heard. They don't need to explain themselves. Their presence, their silence, commands respect. And that's what you're cultivating when you embrace silence. You're showing the world that you're not here to play their games. You're here to live on your terms. Here's a powerful truth. Silence can't be misquoted. It can't be twisted. When you speak, your words can be taken out of context, misinterpreted, used against you. But silence is invincible. It says everything without saying a word. It tells them, I am in control. You don't move me. You don't define me. This is why the Stoics valued self-restraint so deeply, because in that silence, in that pause, lies the ability to see things clearly. When you stay silent, you're not reacting blindly. You're thinking, you're observing, you're strategizing. And when the time comes to act, your actions will carry the weight of that clarity. So the next time someone laughs at your silence, remember this. You're not being weak. You're not being passive. You're showing strength they can't comprehend. You're choosing to control yourself, even when the world around you is out of control. If you've ever felt this strength before, drop this in the comments. Silence is my shield. Let's remind everyone that silence is far from empty. It's the foundation of true power. They'll laugh, they'll mock, they'll try to break you. But your silence? It's unbreakable. It's the quiet force that will outlast their noise every single time. Ready to see why they can't stand it? Let's keep going. Let's talk about their laughter. That mocking, condescending sound they make when you stay silent. Why do they do it? What is it about your silence that triggers such a reaction? At first glance, it might seem like their laughter is a display of strength, like they're confident, like they've won. But what if I told you it's the exact opposite? Their laughter isn't strength, it's fear disguised as arrogance. Think about it. Why would someone need to mock you in the first place? Truly strong people don't feel the need to tear others down. They don't need to laugh at someone else's restraint to feel powerful. No, their laughter isn't coming from a place of power. It's coming from insecurity. Your silence unsettles them because it's a language they don't understand. Here's the truth. People mock what they can't control. When you stay silent, you're refusing to give them what they want. They want a reaction. They want proof that they've gotten under your skin. But when you don't give them that, they feel powerless. And that laughter, it's a defense mechanism. It's how they cope with the discomfort of realizing they don't have power over you. Their laughter is an attempt to fill the void that your silence creates. It's an effort to regain control, to mask their own vulnerability. They laugh because they're trying to convince themselves that they're in control, that they've won. But deep down, they know the truth. They're not laughing at you. They're laughing to cover up their own fear. Let's take a moment to look at this through the lens of psychology. Human beings are wired to seek validation, to feel in control. When someone mocks your silence, it's because they're not getting the validation they crave. They want you to fight back, to argue, to give them proof that their words or actions have an impact. But when you stay silent, you rob them of that. You strip away their sense of control, and they don't know how to handle it. This is why their laughter often feels hollow, forced. It's not the laughter of someone who's truly won. It's the laughter of someone who's trying to convince themselves they've won. They're performing for an audience, hoping to distract from the fact that your silence has left them powerless. Here's what's truly remarkable. Your silence doesn't just protect you, it reveals them. It shows you who they really are. The more they mock, the clearer it becomes that their confidence is a facade. And every time they laugh, they're giving you more proof of their insecurity. Remember, the Stoics taught us to focus on what we can control. You can't control their laughter, their mockery, their attempts to provoke you. But you can control how you perceive it. Instead of seeing their laughter as a sign of your failure, recognize it for what it is, a sign that your silence is working. Have you ever noticed this in your own life? The more you stay silent, the louder they try to be. That's not strength, that's desperation. Let me know in the comments if you've seen this happen. Drop this phrase, "My silence reveals their weakness," because that's exactly what's happening. They laugh at your silence, thinking they've won. But their laughter? It's nothing more than noise, and noise has no power over someone who's truly in control. Ready to see what happens next? Let's keep going. Now let's peel back the layers and talk about perception. Because here's where things get really interesting. What they perceive as weakness in your silence is actually the greatest strength they've ever encountered. But why is it so easy for them to misinterpret? Why do they think your stillness is surrender? The answer lies in how most people view the world. They equate noise with power, action with dominance, and words with control. To them, silence looks like a void, an absence of strength. But this couldn't be further from the truth. Your silence isn't empty, it's strategic, and their inability to see that reveals more about them than it does about you. The Stoics believed in a fundamental principle. It's not what happens to us that matters, but how we perceive it. Reality is shaped by our perceptions, not by the events themselves. When they laugh at your silence, they're not reacting to your silence. They're reacting to their interpretation of it. They've decided that silence must mean weakness, and so they act accordingly. But perception isn't reality. Their laughter doesn't define your strength. It defines their understanding of it. And here's the thing. Most people are conditioned to fear silence because it forces them to confront the unknown. They don't understand what you're thinking, what you're planning, or how you're processing the situation. That lack of understanding feels like a threat, so they react with mockery to mask their discomfort. This is where you have the upper hand. By staying silent, you control the narrative, not through words, but through presence. You're showing them that you don't need to explain yourself, defend yourself, or lower yourself to their level. You're grounded in your own reality, while they flail about, trapped in theirs. Here's something powerful to remember. Their perception of you has no bearing on your actual strength. The Stoics taught us to detach from external opinions, to focus instead on our own inner compass. What others think of you is none of your concern. Your silence isn't for them, it's for you. It's your way of staying true to your values, your principles, and your self-control. But let's take it even further. Silence isn't just a way to hold your ground, it's a way to shift their perception over time. At first, they might see it as weakness, but as they continue to laugh, to mock, to try and provoke you, they'll start to notice something. Their actions aren't affecting you, and that realization will change everything. They'll begin to wonder why their words don't carry weight, why their laughter doesn't break you. And in that moment, their perception will begin to shift. They might never admit it, but deep down, they'll start to see your silence for what it truly is. Unshakable strength. And as their perception changes, so does their power. Because power is only as strong as the belief behind it. When they stop believing they can control you, their power evaporates. So the next time someone misinterprets your silence, remind yourself of this. You're not responsible for their perception. You're responsible for your reality. Drop this in the comments right now if this resonates with you. My silence shapes my reality. Let's remind ourselves that we're in control of our strength, no matter how others choose to see it. Their perception is limited. Your silence is limitless. And when perception collides with reality, reality always wins. Ready to see how silence becomes a force of nature? Let's continue. Imagine this. A conflict begins to brew. Words are thrown like daggers, voices rise like thunder, and all eyes turn to you, expecting you to enter the fray. But instead of engaging, instead of fighting, you remain silent. To most people, this looks like surrender. But in reality, you've already won without even lifting a finger. The Stoics had a profound understanding of power, true power. And one of their greatest lessons was this: the best way to win is often not to fight at all. Think about that for a moment. In a world obsessed with competition, where every interaction is treated like a battle to be won, what does it mean to step away and refuse to engage? It means you've risen above the game entirely. Let me ask you something. Who holds more power, the person who's dragged into every argument, or the one who chooses their battles wisely? The one who reacts to every insult, or the one who responds with silence and composure? The answer is clear. Power doesn't come from fighting every fight. It comes from mastering yourself so completely that you only act when it truly matters. When you stay silent, you're refusing to let someone else dictate your energy. They want you to argue, to defend yourself, to explain your actions. They want to pull you into their chaos. But by staying silent, you're telling them, I'm not playing your game. I don't operate on your level. And that, my friend, is a victory they can't recover from. Here's something you need to understand. Conflict thrives on participation. It needs two sides to fuel the fire. When you refuse to engage, the fire dies out. And here's the best part. While they're busy trying to provoke you, they're wasting their energy. Meanwhile, you're conserving yours. You're staying calm, focused, and ready for what truly matters. The Stoics had a term for this kind of control: apatheia. It doesn't mean apathy in the modern sense, but rather a state of being unshaken by external forces. It's the ability to let others rage, to let them mock, without letting it disturb your inner peace. And when you master this, you become untouchable. Let's also look at this through the lens of strategy. Silence isn't just a tool for avoiding conflict, it's a weapon for winning the long game. When you refuse to engage, you're forcing the other person to reveal their hand. They'll keep talking, keep acting, exposing their weaknesses and their intentions, and all the while, you're observing, learning, and preparing. By the time you decide to act, if you even need to, it's on your terms, not theirs. Now let's be clear. Choosing silence doesn't mean you're weak or passive. It means you're wise. It means you understand that not every battle is worth fighting, and not every opponent is worth your time. When you win without fighting, you're not just saving your energy. You're showing the ultimate form of control. Have you ever felt this in your own life? That moment when you chose silence, and the situation resolved itself without you having to say a word? If you have, share it in the comments. And drop this phrase, I win without fighting. Let's remind each other that true strength isn't about reacting. It's about staying grounded no matter what storms come your way. Winning without fighting isn't just a strategy. It's a philosophy. It's a way of life that frees you from the need to prove yourself, to engage in battles that don't serve you. And once you embrace it, you'll realize something incredible. The strongest victories are the quietest ones. Ready to see why they fear your restraint? Let's go deeper. Let's talk about one of the hardest things to master: your emotions. When someone mocks you, when they laugh at your silence, it's natural to feel that surge of anger, that urge to defend yourself, to prove them wrong. But here's the truth. The moment you let your emotions control you, they've already won. And that's exactly what they're counting on. The Stoics understood this deeply. They believed that emotions are like storms, powerful, chaotic, and fleeting, and just like storms, they can only harm you if you let them sweep you away. But when you anchor yourself, when you stand firm in the face of that storm, it passes. And what's left behind is clarity and strength. Think about the last time someone mocked you or tried to provoke you. How did it feel? That knot in your chest, that heat rising to your face, that voice in your head saying, I have to say something. I have to respond. That's the trap. They want you to react because your reaction is their reward. It validates them. It shows them they've gotten under your skin. But when you master your emotions, you take that power away from them. Emotional mastery isn't about suppressing your feelings. It's about understanding them. It's about recognizing that your emotions are a natural response, but they don't have to dictate your actions. When someone mocks you, you don't have to give them the reaction they're looking for. You can choose calm. You can choose silence. And in that choice lies your strength. Here's something to think about. When you react emotionally, you're playing their game. You're letting them set the rules, dictate the pace, and control the narrative. But when you remain calm, when you stay silent, you're rewriting the script. Suddenly, they're the ones off balance. They don't know what to do with someone who won't engage, who won't give them the satisfaction of a reaction. The Stoics had a powerful practice for achieving this level of control. It's called premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils. They would imagine the worst-case scenarios, the insults, the mockery, the challenges, and prepare themselves emotionally in advance. So when those moments came, they weren't caught off guard. They could respond, or not respond, from a place of strength. And here's the beautiful part. When you master your emotions, you become unshakable. Their laughter, their mockery, it rolls off you like water off a stone. While they're flailing, trying to provoke you, you're standing still, grounded and untouchable. That's the kind of strength that can't be faked. Let's not sugarcoat it. This isn't easy. Emotional mastery takes practice, patience, and self-awareness, but the rewards are worth it, because when you control your emotions, you control your life. You're no longer at the mercy of what others say or do. You're free. Have you ever had a moment where you stayed calm in the face of mockery, where you refused to let someone else dictate your emotions? Share it in the comments and write this phrase, "My calm is my power." Let's remind ourselves and others that control over our emotions is the ultimate freedom. They mock you, they laugh at your silence, thinking they've won. But the truth is, every time you stay calm, every time you refuse to react, you're winning a victory they can't even comprehend. Let's explore why that terrifies them so much. Shall we continue? Why does your silence bother them so much? Why does your calm, your refusal to react, make them uneasy? To understand this, we need to delve into something deeper, the psychology of control. Because at the root of it all, that's what they're after. Control, and your restraint, it's the one thing they can't control. Think about it. When someone mocks you, they're not just trying to hurt you, they're trying to manipulate you. They want to provoke a reaction to make you lose your composure. Why? Because when you react, you hand them the power. Your reaction says, "You've gotten to me, you've affected me." But when you remain calm and silent, you're telling them something entirely different. You have no power here. This terrifies them. Why? Because most people are used to getting a reaction. They're used to pushing buttons and watching others jump. It's how they assert dominance. But when they push your buttons and nothing happens, they're left exposed. Their tactics fail, and with that failure comes an unsettling realization. They don't control you. The Stoics understood this on a profound level. They believed that true power doesn't come from controlling others. It comes from controlling yourself. And that's exactly what you're doing when you remain calm in the face of mockery. You're showing them that your peace, your strength, your dignity are untouchable. Here's the irony. They see your silence as weakness, but it's actually the strongest position you can take. Restraint requires discipline. It requires emotional mastery. It requires the kind of self-control that most people will never achieve. And that's why they fear it, because it's something they can't match. Have you ever noticed how people who mock you for being silent often get louder and more desperate over time? That's because your restraint is driving them into a corner. They don't understand it, they can't predict it, and they certainly can't control it. And so they double down, trying harder and harder to get a reaction. But all they're really doing is showing how much your silence has rattled them. This is why restraint is so powerful. It shifts the balance of power in your favor without you having to lift a finger. While they exhaust themselves trying to provoke you, you remain calm, conserving your energy, staying grounded. You're playing the long game while they're burning out in the short term. The Stoics had a term for this kind of power, autarkia. It means self-sufficiency, the ability to find everything you need within yourself. When you embrace restraint, you're living this principle. You're showing the world and yourself that you don't need to prove anything to anyone. Your strength speaks for itself. So let me ask you, have you ever been in a situation where your restraint unnerved someone else, where your calm made them uncomfortable? Let me know in the comments and drop this phrase, "My restraint is my strength." Let's remind ourselves that holding back isn't a sign of weakness. It's the ultimate show of power. They fear your restraint because it's something they can't break. They can't twist it, they can't control it, and they certainly can't match it. And that fear, it's the clearest sign that you're already winning. Ready to take this one step further? Let's keep going. Silence isn't just the absence of words, it's a response in itself. It's a statement, a boundary, a message so powerful that it doesn't need explanation. But here's the secret. Silence isn't passive, it's active. And when used correctly, it becomes the most effective way to respond without actually responding. Let's break it down. When someone mocks you, they're expecting a reaction. They want words, emotion, proof that they've affected you. But what if, instead of giving them what they want, you gave them nothing? No words, no anger, no defensiveness, just presence, just stillness. The beauty of this approach lies in its simplicity. When you don't respond, you create a vacuum, and in that vacuum, they're left to deal with their own actions. They start second-guessing themselves. Why didn't they react? Did I go too far? Do they know something I don't? Your silence forces them to confront their own behavior without the distraction of your reaction. The Stoics mastered this art of non-response. They believed that wisdom lay in controlling what was within your power, your thoughts, your actions, your emotions, and letting go of what wasn't. When you choose silence, you're embodying this principle. You're saying, I control myself, you control nothing. But here's where it gets even more powerful. Silence doesn't mean inaction. It means choosing your actions carefully. It means using your presence, your body language, and your energy to communicate what words can't. A calm gaze, an unshaken posture, a quiet confidence, these speak louder than any words ever could. Imagine this. Someone mocks you, expecting you to retaliate. Instead, you meet their gaze, hold your ground, and say nothing. In that moment, you've said everything. You've told them, without a word, that their mockery doesn't touch you, that their laughter doesn't define you, and that's something they can't argue against. This approach isn't about avoiding confrontation. It's about controlling the terms of the confrontation. You're not running away. You're standing tall, refusing to be drawn into a battle that doesn't serve you. And in doing so, you're showing a level of control that commands respect, even from those who try to belittle you. Let's not forget the power of timing. Silence isn't permanent. Sometimes the most effective response is to remain silent until the right moment. When you finally choose to speak or act, your words carry more weight because they're grounded in thoughtfulness and restraint. People listen when you've already shown them that you don't speak lightly. Have you ever experienced this? A time when your silence said more than words ever could? Share your story in the comments and drop this phrase, I respond with silence. Let's remind each other that we don't need to meet chaos with chaos. Responding without responding is about maintaining your power, your dignity, your clarity. It's about refusing to let someone else dictate your energy or your actions. And once you master this, you'll realize something extraordinary. Silence isn't just a response, It's a victory, ready to see how resilience turns that victory into something even greater. Let's continue. Let's talk about resilience, that unshakable force within you that grows stronger every time you face mockery, laughter, or challenge and refuse to be moved. Resilience isn't something you're born with, it's something you build. And every moment of silence, every instance of calm in the face of chaos, is another brick in the fortress of your inner strength. Resilience isn't flashy, it doesn't shout, it doesn't beg for attention, and it doesn't crumble under pressure. It's quiet, steady, and relentless. And here's the best part. Every time they mock you, every time they try to break you, they're unknowingly helping you build it. Because resilience is forged in adversity. Think about this for a moment. When someone mocks you, what are they really trying to do? They're trying to plant a seed of doubt. They want you to question yourself, to feel small, to react emotionally. But when you stay silent, when you remain composed, you're showing them and yourself that their attempts are futile, that you're unshakable. The Stoics understood that life is filled with challenges. People will insult you, laugh at you, and try to drag you down. But they also knew that these moments are opportunities to grow stronger, to practice resilience, to become the person who can withstand anything. They called this concept amor fati, a love of fate. It's about embracing every moment, good or bad, as something that shapes you into who you're meant to be. Resilience doesn't just protect you from the outside world, it empowers you from within. Every time you choose calm over chaos, every time you respond with silence instead of anger, you're proving to yourself that you're in control. And that proof is powerful. It builds confidence, it builds strength, it builds the kind of resilience that makes you unstoppable. Here's something incredible to consider. Resilience isn't about never feeling pain or doubt. It's about feeling those things and choosing to rise above them. It's about acknowledging the storm, but refusing to let it define you. And when you do this, you become the person who not only survives, but thrives in the face of adversity. Have you ever noticed that the people who mock you the most are often the ones who fear your resilience? They sense it, even if they don't understand it. They see that no matter what they say or do, you keep going, you keep growing. And that resilience, it terrifies them because it's something they don't have. Let's make this real. Think about a moment in your life when you faced mockery or hardship and came out stronger on the other side. Reflect on how that moment built your resilience, how it shaped you into who you are today. Share your story in the comments and write this phrase: I grow stronger through adversity. Let's remind ourselves and others that resilience isn't just survival, it's transformation. Resilience is your superpower. It's what turns their laughter into fuel for your growth. It's what makes you unshakable, unstoppable, and undeniably strong. So the next time they laugh at your silence, remember this: you're not just enduring, you're evolving. And every moment of silence is another step toward becoming the person they can never break. Ready to bring it all together? Let's finish this. They laugh at your silence, thinking they've won. But now you see the truth. Your silence is your strength, your calm is your power, and their laughter, it's just noise, an empty attempt to distract you from the quiet, unshakable force you've been building all along. Let me ask you something. What kind of person do you want to be? Do you want to be the one who's pulled into every battle, reacting to every insult, giving away your energy to those who don't deserve it? Or do you want to be the one who stands tall, who stays silent, who turns every moment of mockery into another layer of resilience? The choice is yours. And here's the beautiful part. You've already started. By choosing silence, by choosing to master yourself instead of trying to control others, you're already walking the Stoic path. You're already showing them and yourself that your power doesn't depend on their approval, their laughter, or their validation. But here's your challenge. Take this strength and live it every day. The next time someone mocks you, Let your silence speak for itself. The next time someone tries to provoke you, let your calm be your response. And every time you do, remind yourself of this truth. You are in control, not them, not their words, not their actions. You. If this resonates with you, drop this in the comments. I control my power. Let's fill this space with reminders of what true strength looks like. Let's show the world and ourselves that silence isn't weakness. It's power in its purest form. And before you go, take a moment to empower someone else. Like this video, because that simple action helps spread this message to others who need it. Comment below to share your story or just to say, I'm here and I'm unshakable. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Stoic Blessing and turn on notifications. Let's keep building this community of strength, wisdom, and resilience. You're not alone in this journey. Every time you choose silence, every time you rise above, you're joining a legacy of strength that goes back thousands of years. So when they laugh at your silence, let them laugh. Because you know the truth. You've already won. Stay strong, and I'll see you in the next one.